The Galactic Council chamber had witnessed 10,000 years of civilized debate. Its crystalline walls had absorbed the whispers of dying empires and the proclamations of rising ones. But on this particular rotation of the Valaxi Prime Station, those ancient walls would absorb something they had never encountered before. Human fury, calm, measured, and absolute. Admiral Darian Voss walked into the chamber alone. No honor guard. No diplomatic aid. No ceremonial weapons or gilded uniform. Just a single human in a plain gray fleet jacket, her boots clicking against the obsidian floor with the steady rhythm of someone who had already decided how this would end. High Chancellor Zareth watched her from the elevated dais, his four amber eyes tracking her movement with something that was not quite contempt, but close. The Valaxi had ruled the council for 3 centuries. They understood power. They understood posturing. What they did not yet understand was what it meant when a human stopped doing both. Admiral Voss, Zareth said, his translator rendering the words in that smooth, diplomatic tone he had perfected over decades. The council did not expect you to attend personally. We assumed you would send a representative, given the circumstances. Voss stopped in the center of the floor. She did not bow. She did not nod. She simply looked up at him. The circumstances, she repeated. You mean the 3 colony ships? A tragic incident. 37,000 people, Chancellor. Silence. Even the ambient hum of the station seemed to quiet itself. Behind Zareth, the other council delegates shifted in their floating seats. The Draken ambassador, a towering creature with bioluminescent frills, dimmed noticeably. The SYTH collective's representative, a cluster of linked drones, drew slightly inward. The Morkai elder, ancient and grayscaled, steepled 4 of its 6 fingers together and watched with the careful attention of a species that had survived long enough to recognize a historical moment when it arrived. Joe, a junior Valaxi protocol officer seated at Zareth's right, leaned forward and whispered something. Zareth raised a dismissive hand. Whatever Joe had said, the Chancellor did not want to hear it. That would prove to be a significant mistake. The Torati Consortium has been sanctioned, Zareth continued. Their trade licenses are under review. We have opened an inquiry. An inquiry. Voss's voice carried no emotion. That was the part that made the Draken ambassador dim again. A species showing no emotion when it should be enraged was not a species that had calmed down. It was a species that had moved somewhere beyond rage entirely, somewhere cold and purposeful and done with the performance of anger. You opened an inquiry into the deliberate destruction of 3 civilian transports carrying families. Children. Me's parents. New York's grandchildren. Dai's entire medical crew. People who had names, Chancellor. Zareth spread his upper hands in a gesture of galactic reasonableness. The Torati claim the vessels crossed into contested space. We have submitted 47 formal protests over the past 9 years, Voss said. 47. Each one acknowledging your process. Each one trusting your institutions. Each one answered with timelines and committees and recommendations that led to more timelines. She paused. My people are patient, Chancellor. We are extraordinarily patient. It is one of the things your xenobiologists have noted about us, our capacity to endure. To wait. To believe that systems can work, if you give them enough time. Zareth tilted his head. Then you understand why. I'm not finished. The chamber went completely silent. No one interrupted a council chancellor. Not the Draken, who had fleets 3 times the size of humanity's. Not the ancient Morkai, who remembered when the Valaxi were still learning to build starships. No one. Hi, a SYTH drone at the far edge of the chamber recorded a biological anomaly in Admiral Voss's physiological readings, heart rate steady, cortisol levels normal, micro-expressions flat. It flagged this data to WA, the collective's analysis node, who cross-referenced it against every recorded human interaction in the galactic database and returned a single, troubling conclusion: this human has already decided. We gave you 9 years, Voss continued. 9 years of formal protests, diplomatic channels, mediation requests, and good faith engagement. In that time, the Torati Consortium destroyed 11 human vessels, raided 4 of our mining operations, and executed 2 of our survey teams. She reached into her jacket pocket and placed a data chip on the floor in front of her, a small, unremarkable thing that nevertheless seemed to fill the entire room. This morning, at 0400 station time, the Terran Defense Fleet crossed into Torati space. The Draken ambassador actually made a sound. A low, involuntary one. You invaded? Zareth's translator stumbled on the word, as if it had not been used in this chamber in a very long time. We responded, Voss said. There is a difference. The Torati main shipyard at Velkassan is no longer operational. Their 3 military stations in the outer reach have been disabled. Their command fleet has been given a choice: stand down, or we continue. She finally moved, just slightly, a small adjustment of weight from one foot to the other, the kind of shift that in a human meant they were about to say the part that actually mattered. I am here, Chancellor, as a courtesy. Not to ask for permission. Not to request mediation. I am here to inform the Council of what is happening, and to make one thing very clear. Zareth had gone very still. Around him, the delegates of a dozen species waited. Humanity is not leaving the galactic community, Voss said. We believe in this council. We believe in cooperation, in shared law, in the kind of civilization that makes it possible for species that would otherwise destroy each other to instead build something together. That belief is not gone. The faintest pause. But we have learned something in 9 years of watching your processes fail us. We have learned that no institution protects those who will not protect themselves. We tried your way. Fully. Completely. With patience that your own scholars have written papers about. She looked directly at Zareth. Now we are doing it our way. And when it is done, when the Torati have accepted terms and our people are safe, we will return to this table. We will file the reports. We will participate in the inquiry. We will do all of it. But we will not wait for an inquiry to protect our children. The Morkai elder made a sound, low, almost subsonic, the kind of sound their species made when they were deeply, privately impressed. Joe, the young protocol officer, looked at Zareth and this time did not lean in to whisper. There was nothing left to say quietly. High Chancellor Zareth had ruled the Council for 30 years through a mastery of leverage, knowing what every species wanted, what every species feared, and how to position those two things against each other until the outcome he desired became the only logical conclusion. He was, by any measure, brilliant. But he was looking at a woman who had just told him, with perfect courtesy and complete finality, that his leverage did not exist here. Humanity had not come to negotiate. Humanity had come to inform. The Council, Zareth said, carefully, will need to formally respond to this action. Of course, Voss said. We expect that. We will cooperate with every formal process. We will be transparent. We will provide full documentation of every Torati action that preceded ours and every step of our response. She picked the data chip up from the floor. She had never actually left it behind, just placed it there momentarily, a gesture of data availability, not surrender. We've already sent copies of all sensor records, casualty reports, and our legal justification to every council member's office. Including yours. The smallest, quietest thing that might have been a smile crossed her face. We came prepared. She turned and walked back toward the door. Behind her, the chamber began to erupt, not into chaos, but into that particular kind of controlled, urgent noise that meant every delegate was already composing transmissions to their home governments. The Draken ambassador was already moving. The SYTH Collective's drones were accelerating their cross-channel communications. Dai's homeworld, a small, newly admitted species on the council's outer tier, had been watching from the observer's gallery, and their representative was crying, which was not a thing their species typically did in public. New York's ambassador caught Voss at the door. A quiet being, New York's people, methodical, careful, deeply committed to process. "Admiral," the ambassador said softly. "We tried to raise this in committee. 6 times. No one." "I know," Voss said. "You're not alone in this. You were never alone in this." She met the ambassador's eyes. "That's why we moved." She walked out. The door sealed behind her. In the silence that followed, the Morkai elder finally spoke, the first full sentence the ancient species had offered in 17 consecutive council sessions. "I have sat in this chamber," the elder said, slowly, "to no one and everyone, for longer than most of your civilizations have maintained written records. And I will tell you something I have learned in that time." A pause. The most dangerous moment in any relationship between species is not when the violent one loses patience. Another pause. It is when the patient one does. No species that was present that day ever forgot it.